Greetings, everyone. I hope you're having a wonderful day. Today, we are going to be talking about selling your skills at an interview and review the interview types. As Falcons, we're going to roll along with this presentation. So, for our presentation today, you're going to be able to identify proper interviewing attire. We're going to be doing that by reviewing examples for you all, articulate your skills, and then also a very important item of interviewing is the phases of interviewing. We'll review common interview questions and you'll be able to respond to them using a STAR model that will help you kind of put your thoughts together and respond to a question appropriately. And then also it's important to know the types of interviews that you might be experiencing when you're doing your job search. So, we're hoping that you're going to be dressed for success. So professional dress, it's really important. There's two types. The first we're going to be reviewing is business formal, where you might see at job fairs, interviews, business events, or other offices may require you all to wear business formal. Business casual, you typically will see in daily offices more, but it's important to know your field and also the industry to know what's appropriate. So for business formal dress, on the left-hand side, you'll see examples for men. Suits should be 2 pieces, recommended black or charcoal. Light gray and brown are also appropriate. Your shirts should be long sleeve shirts, white, cream, or pale blue. Now ties, I know you want to show your personality, and that's great, but making sure that it complements the suit is key, and make sure that it's conservative. We don't want any crazy ties out there, even though you love them. Make sure it's appropriate. Your shoes should be black and brown. Make sure that they're clean and unscuffed. So if you have to polish them up, make sure you take that time to do so. Socks should complement the suit. No athletic socks, y'all. I know you can go to the gym later, but making sure that they're appropriate socks are really important. For our women, on the right-hand side, you'll see 2 suits. 2-piece suits are very appropriate. Avoid loud colors like neon colors, like hot pink. Skirts are appropriate for your suits. Make sure the skirts are knee length or longer. You don't want to be showing too much leg. Modesty is a beautiful thing. Shoes, make sure that they match your suit and complement the suit as well. No scuffs, and I love to wear high heels, but make sure that they're little to medium heels because you're going to be walking around during your interview and you want to make sure you don't get blisters and that they're comfortable. And it's appropriate to wear stockings or nylons. Natural skin tones are appropriate. Make sure the color matches the suit unless it's a very hot day. So if you're going to Florida or anywhere else in Texas, some examples of some warm places compared to the beautiful state of Ohio. Also, makeup and jewelry. Ladies, less is more. Do not overdo it. I know signature jewelry is in right now, but making sure that it's appropriate and not overdone is key. Here's some visual examples of your professional attire. On the left-hand side, you'll see a lovely charcoal suit for ladies. You'll see the accessories, a lovely pearl necklace, a long sleeve shirt, as well as the nylons, natural tone, and then your business bag. It's really important your purse is not tattered, but it's also professional. You can notice the heel is about 1.5 to 2 inches. Very appropriate for walking around. On our right-hand side, you'll see a lovely black suit for our men with a navy blue tie and a pale blue undershirt. Very appropriate. You can also see that the belt is black to match the black pants as well as the shoes. Matching is a great thing. Make sure that it looks appropriate and try it on at least a week before your interview just in case you need anything hemmed or altered. Business casual. On the left-hand side, you'll see some examples. Notice that their shoes match their shirt, as well as their pants look very comfortable, but they're not holes, and they're also hemmed. And then in the middle, you'll see that the belts match both the pants, so that's really important. You don't want a black and brown on your different pants or belts. And then on the right-hand side, you'll see a lovely falcon over there in his orange with his nice brown shoes. Making sure that it matches appropriately is key. And that it's warm. If you notice this gentleman right here is wearing a sweater, just in case it's going to be a cold day during your interview, you want to make sure you're prepared. So looking up the weather before you go is important. So now we're going to switch gears to articulating your skills. There's 3 skills that we're going to go over today. The first is adaptive and self-management skills. The second will be work content skills. The third, functional and transferable skills. So, adaptive and self-management skills are really like your personality characteristics or traits. So an example is outgoing, or you're professional, or you are a motivator. Those are some examples of adaptive and self-management skills. Work content skills, the ability required to perform a certain job. So if you need to know certain databases or programs, that's going to be work content specific. So for our engineers, there's certain programs that you need to be familiar with. To teachers, there's certain teaching methods that you should be familiar with. So making sure you're articulating those skills during your interviews are key. Functional and transferable skills, these are areas that can relate to any situation or task. So teamwork skills is a huge one. Communication skills, as well as motivation skills, being able to motivate others, which is also similar to your personality characteristics. Just some examples of some of your skills that you should be articulating in an interview. So this is a lovely list of essential candidate qualities that employers are looking for. This is from the Job Outlook 2014 National Associations of Colleges and Employers. So they get together and they review skills that they're looking for in candidates. So I want you to take some time to reflect on some of these skills and look over what skills you may have or skills that you want to develop. And then I will share with you the number one skill that employers and colleges are looking for in candidates. All right, hopefully you've had enough time to kind of review those skills, and I'm going to share with you the number one skill that employers are looking for is communication skills, followed by strong work ethic, and then it leads all the way down to detail-oriented, and then on the right-hand side to leadership skills. So the number one is communication skills. So making sure that you're remembering that and you articulate your experiences well in your interview is key. So transferable skills relate to your experience. So it's important to kind of think of the skills that you're developing. So what skills have you gained from your involvement on campus or in class? As a Falcon, you probably have a ton of skills that you've developed. So I want you to reflect on that. And one that comes to mind to me is communication skills I've gained through my experience in the classroom and involvement on campus. So what skills have I enhanced? I'd also say communication skills because working with a group of 6 individuals in class has helped me with conflict management skill. That's another skill that I've enhanced since I've been here, but how I've done that is when working with diverse group members to making sure that we're getting our assignments done in a timely manner. So that would also be time management skills. Wow, there's so many skills that you're developing, but it's key to reflect on those, and you have to be able to articulate how you've developed those skills in your interview. So now it's a great transition. We're going to talk about how the phases of interviewing will happen and how to better help you prepare. So the first one is preparation and planning phase, conducting phase, which is the actual interview, and then evaluating phase. Making sure that this job is a good fit for you as a young professional is key. So preparing and planning, I want you all to take a deep breath on 3. 1, 2, 3. And you're going to keep calm and roll along. As a Falcon, it's really important for you to take deep breaths and realize that this interview is going to go well if you know the following things. So the first thing is know yourself. Know yourself with your skills, your values, your interests, and experiences that you've gained as a Falcon. And make sure you know your strengths. That's key. And areas of improvement. Employers are going to ask you those questions, and you want to be able to answer those. Know the industry. Analyze the climate of the industry or field with the following factors in mind. What's going on socially with this industry? Technology, what's happening? What are some common trends? Economy, what's going on and making sure that you're aware of some economy challenges or successes. And then politically, what might be happening and affect that industry or field. It is also important to know the employer. So understand the organization size. Where does it fit within the field? Organizational structure and leadership, population that it serves. Also, it's important to know the employer of typical career paths, and then also opportunities for professional development. As a Falcon, you're going to always learn and continue to learn, develop, and grow. So the last, but certainly not least, you need to know that position in and out. As a Falcon, you got to investigate and research. So being able to compare the position with your resume prior to writing your cover letter is key. Looking to see what skills you maybe develop over time is really important. Also review the position in the light highlight the buzzwords, making sure that you're incorporating those in your interview. Know the responsibilities and required skills that you need to have with this position. So highlighting those in your interview is key. Compare to similar positions in the field. Making sure that you're being current and you're the best candidate is key when you're preparing and planning in this phase. The next phase is the conducting phase. So, this is the actual interview, everyone. Communicate your skills, your knowledge, and your experiences. So, it's very important that you reflect, but also use specific examples that you're going to highlight. And then share your knowledge of the organization. Since you prepared and you researched, you want to share what you've researched and found about that organization. And then discover specific information about the organization and the position. During your interview, you're being an investigator. You want to make sure that you know it's a good fit. So, most interviews are behavioral interviews. It's the best predictor of future behavior or performance from past behavioral performance in a similar situation or circumstance. So, make sure you present concrete examples is key. Utilize the data whenever it's relevant, and emphasize your results that happened, why you're the best candidate because of the results, and then link your skills to the position. And to be able to do that, we encourage you all to use the STAR model. The STAR model stands for situation, tasks or obstacle, action, results, and you need to relate it back to the position. So it's really helpful to think of a situation in your head. So an example of a question is, how have you dealt with conflict? So you think of a situation, you explain it and give the context of the situation, what actions you took. So when working with I talked about earlier, working in a student group, there was an individual that wasn't completing all their tasks. And this was really hard because we had a deadline that we had to meet. So the task was to complete this assignment within 2 weeks. So the action I took was encourage that team member to do little pieces of the task over time. And as a result, that team member got those items done in a timely manner. And it relates to this position because of time management and making sure that we're completing tasks on time. So that was a brief example, but personally, you need to tailor those examples that relate to that position. Potential behavioral interview questions. Tell me about a time when you had to adjust to a new environment. When have you done that? Maybe when you transitioned into college? Perfect example. That's what you could use. Tell me about a time when you had to manage multiple priorities at once. Well, let's see. You're a proud Falcon. You might be working. You might be involved on campus. Or you might be balancing other obstacles. Those are some things you might want to reflect on. But also, make sure it's relevant to the job description and the job at hand. Describe a time when you effectively coached someone to improve their performance. Maybe when you coached that teammate or classmate to perform a task. That's something that you could maybe think of. But making sure, most of all, you're highlighting your experiences from your college experience as well as work experience. Tell me about a time when you had to solve a difficult problem. That's something that you should reflect on and be able to share to your employer as a strong candidate, because you're Falcons. So let's roll along to the next slide. It's important to ask questions during your interview. So here's a list of some questions. How will my performance be evaluated? Making sure you know what's expected of you is helpful. What is the length and structure of your training program? That's a red flag if they don't have a training program for you, because you want to be able to transition and be successful in this new position. So that's a great question to ask. What brought you to this company, and what is it that keeps you here? That's really important with retention in companies. If their employees are satisfied and happy, their work performance is going to be higher. And that's something that you might want to think about. What short-term or long-term goals do you envision for this position? Knowing your expectations at hand and then relating how you could be the best candidate is great. So this is a great question that will help you figure that out. What are the next steps in the hiring process? Making sure that you're aware if it's going to be 2 weeks, a week, or a month until they contact and the next step of the process is important. So then you can continue your job search or stay connected with them and follow up in the appropriate manner. Evaluating phase. This is one of the most important phases. You need to review the information you gained from the organization and the position. Determine your interest in the position or organization. See if it's a good fit. And then assess whether you can perform the job based on the evidence you've gathered from prepping and planning, the conducting phase, which is the actual interview, and the evaluating phase, which is here. So this is where you get to reflect. Ask yourself, am I a good fit for this company? Ask yourself, if the organization was to offer me the job, would I accept? Making sure you're aware of that. And then if you would accept, what negotiation factors would you negotiate? But that's a whole different presentation about negotiation. And you can find our webinars or our events or programs that might relate to negotiation online. So I will review that later on to show you. So after you've conducted your interview, it's really important to send thank you cards within 48 hours. So it might be appropriate to do it via email. Also, if it's an eco-friendly company or organization, making sure you do email is very appropriate. Evaluate your performance, and that means if they said that they're looking for motivated and intuitive people or creative people, giving examples in your thank you card of how you're creative is key. Keeping records and following up when appropriate is also important because you're the one that's in charge of yourself in the interview as well as your job search. So making sure that you're keeping the appropriate names and they're spelled correctly is key. So there's different types of interviews that I'm going to be going over with you. So here's the list: structured, telephone and screening, group, on campus, on site, behavioral, and mealtime, which would be lunch or dinner times where you'll be interviewing, connecting with the employer or other people that you'll be working with. Structured interview is standard. An interview will ask every candidate the same set of questions so that they can compare more candidates. So that's really important to kind of think about. So same questions, same people interviewing, so it's a very structured interview. Unstructured is kind of like each candidate will have a different experience, so that's something to also reflect on. Telephone and screening, prepare as though as it's a real interview, making sure you select a comfortable and private, quiet place for you to do your interview. Have a copy of your resume and company information is great. So then you can highlight before what you want to showcase to them during your phone or screening interview, and also relate it to the company is very helpful. Have a pen and paper at hand so then you can take notes and prepare interview questions in advance, so then you can take notes as well. Practice on the phone. Record answers. Try standing if you feel more confident. Smile and use gestures and avoid monotones. But also be aware that there might be some awkward silence, and that's okay. Don't feel rushed. Take your time, answer the question using the STAR model, and you'll feel prepared. But most of all, be yourself and know your qualities and characteristics and strengths you bring to this job. Group interviews can consist to 6 to 8 people, so making sure you interact as a team player. Show your personality. Make sure you avoid conflict, though, and keep an eye on the interviewer. Watch their nonverbal. So some helpful positive behavior in a group discussion is initiating conversation, clarifying questions if you don't understand, or helping others get there too. Encouragement. Be an active listener, information and opinion giving, harmonizing, compromising, but also summarizing what you've experienced is key. On-campus interviews are usually only 30 minutes extra face time where they want to see you and connect with you before your formal interview. Profile, make sure you bring your portfolio, with your resume and recommendations, and also company materials. On-site, so this is your big day. You must make sure you get a good night's rest so you're alert, polite to everyone. Your interview starts when you walk out that car door or other transportation. It starts right when you get there. Be punctual. 15 minutes early is great, but also observe the environment. See if you're a good fit for this new job place. Behavioral interviews. We kind of talked about, but I also want to go over this. It's based on previous activities, which I stated earlier. It requires concrete or specific examples. So if you want to highlight your interpersonal skills, a question they may ask is, describe a time when you had to work with someone you didn't like. This is a question. It's not if you'll get it, it's when you get it. So making sure you can reflect on that and have an answer at hand. Leadership skills they're looking for. Give me a time when you motivated others. Some helpful questions. You can never have enough behavioral interview questions. Mealtime interview. Follow the interview's lead. Relaxed setting. Realize that you can breathe. It's okay to be yourself. Show that you're social and know how to. Be discreet and avoid messy food. On a date, your first date, you're never supposed to eat spaghetti, so maybe avoid spaghetti. But also making sure that you have appropriate etiquette. So another resource we have at the Career Center is the etiquette dinner, something that you might want to sign up if you need a refresher. Other types of interviews that you might experience is rotating, like one-to-one with different interviewers. That's something that I've experienced. It's very interesting. You get a better feel for the company or the organization. A panel interview. There's 2 to 5 interviewers or as many as 13 people that want to get to know you. Try to identify their different roles. So if you know in advance who's interviewing you, making sure you have their name spelled correctly and their title, and then highlighting them when you actually see them in their interview. This will help you when you're doing your thank you cards as well. So try to identify their different roles, I think I touched on. Respond to the interviewer, include others through your eye contact. So if someone asks you a question, look at them, but also work the room, making sure that you're incorporating everyone in your response. May involve in a presentation, so making sure that you practice that in advance will be very helpful in timing yourself. Have a friend or come into the Career Center and we can help you articulate or critique your presentation. So I hope you've learned something new from this interview presentation. So if you could tweet at Hire Falcons on Twitter, that would be great what you learned. And then we'll come back later and talk to you about that if you have follow-up questions. Like I said earlier, you are going to learn about different resources the Career Center provides. So you can reach us at hirefalcons.bgsu.edu, Facebook, BGSU Careers, Twitter, BGSU Careers, and also Hire Falcons. And also we have our contact information, and you can find us on LinkedIn. I hope you enjoyed our presentation, and you have a wonderful, wonderful day. Bye-bye.